Smigo actually asked a bit earlier if this was the closest series in the tournament so far, and I think he might be onto something other than one of the round 1 games, because I think both of them went 2-1. So if Eka can tie this up, this will definitely be the closest game of the series. So we've got Striker here on Sheltered Pass on the top side of the map. I think he played the first 2 games on the bottom side, and he's got these 2 on the top side. So he's in the blue trunks, he's playing his Celts, going for that early barracks, because he's gathering the 50 wood he needs for that. Eka doing the same, he's on Persia this time, red trunks. So Eka playing Persia for the second time. He's had 2 games as Greeks, 2 games as Persia, 1 his second game with Greeks, and I think he's planning to do the same now as his Persia. Striker, he's fielded a different civ every game, playing Persia and winning, playing Norse and losing, playing Egypt and winning, and now picking Celts. So Striker giving us a bit of a grand display of all the civs. Thank you for doing so. It's always nice to see someone that civ picks for every single game, not even just ones that they win. You know, because they have to. So we got the early barracks here for both players. Just about to finish up. Sheltered Pass. So with this horrible series of chokes through the center of the map. I mean, it's not bad. I like the map deep down, but it's easy to talk shit about it because it's one of those maps where if it isn't decisively ended early, it goes to really late generally because of how easy it is to wall up and be secure. And then a lot of those early ending games on it tend to be because of being resource starved rather than necessarily just being smashed in fights, because of how, you know, resources are sort of distributed across your shelf. You need to be able to simultaneously push forward but then push outwards in both directions in order to actually, you know, maintain resources. Although it looks as though Striker's got a bit of room to back up here. I don't know if there'd be, I don't think there's another gold mine up there, but he's got these 2 off the back here. Neither player's really scouted out behind Eka all that much, I was going to say. You can really only see a second gold mine here for him. Because our players initially, just given the current meta and the maps they're on, sort of incentivized to scout each other out as quickly as possible. A Celt player, those fast training spears only cost food. Striker's actually cut spear production at the moment, so I think he's looking to try and take a fairly quick age up behind this. You know, go for that minimal spear investment that just basically puts your opponent on the spot to equal your spear investment, but otherwise go no further. Celts are a good civ for this, I think, because once you get to 35 pop, your houses basically have paid for themselves. So needing them for your age up actually saves you 100 resources in the long run. So, oh yeah, Striker's restarting his spear production now. So he had a bit of a lull in it. I think he realizes he can afford to do so. Eka also cutting his for a little bit there. Not for terribly long though, because he is up to 7 Spara. There's only 5 spears for Striker. He's got another 3 back at home. So both our players, not necessarily continuous unit production so far. I think Eka's been slightly quicker on it, considering he's got that slower train time. Even though it's only a second. It's a second per unit, so it does add up pretty quickly. Striker gonna go for a bit of a harass here, but this isn't gonna pay off for him, I don't think, because Eka should be able to get that spearman. Yeah, he will be able to snipe that one, so the thing with trying to take engagements with spears is you almost never want to do it when you're down on overall unit count, because once someone gets snare locked, they're pretty much dead as long as more than one spearman is attacking them, or one Sparabara. Especially now that Spara actually do the same amount of snare as the other spears. They never originally did, because they were sort of designed to be more of a hoplite unit than an actual spearman. And I think hoplites actually have reduced snare compared to spears. I'd have to double check to verify that though. So yeah, Striker going for the age up. He did ultimately end up going for nearly a dozen spearmen then though. Eka, his age up's finished, or just about to finish, sorry, and he's invested in 9 Spara. So our players have made quite the investment here in their early game. I think Striker could have actually sniped that villager, but I think he was also a bit worried about over-engaging there. Wasn't exactly sure where the Spara were. I don't think he realised they were as far back as they were. Oh, he's not going to be able to get the storehouse either. So Striker didn't really deal any damage other than the gather time lost there. Eka going for a frontside TC, which is pretty smart because it protects his gold mine and gives him this hunt as well. I mean, he's got the gold over here. There is another one all the way over here, so gold's going to be a bit hard for Eka in particular to secure, given his TC placements. I mean, this one's not too bad. He can probably just wall that up pretty easily. Getting on top of this would be a bit of a pain, depending on how the game's going. Like, obviously, if you manage to build an early game lead in the fight, all of this stuff doesn't matter. But if you can't, all this stuff becomes hypercritical. If you can't basically take advantage of the map layout and defend at least a second, maybe a third gold mine, and, you know, at least possibly try and defend some berries or some hunts. Ideally hunts over berries, but, you know, sometimes you're not always able to. So we've got the range here for Eka. Striker, his gold mine, really well protected, and he's even got straight on top of those boars. So quite a good spot because it also defends a berries too. Puts him a little bit closer to this gold mine. Doesn't really help him with getting access to this one, but I think he should be pretty safe because, again, he can sort of just wall straight across here or across both of these parts. Be quite safe. So I think the map, and with how he's placed his second town centers, does slightly favour Striker because of the golds. Though Eka has secured a reasonable amount of food. Couple of longswords in the mix here for Striker, so he's going to want to get in and get a bit of damage done before his opponent can get too many bowmen, just considering he's gone for so many spears. And then followed up with the longswords as well, but those longs going to be great against the Spara. Slinger production is going to start for Striker in just a sec too. But this is a nice engagement for him because he can take this fight pretty easily. The Spara are going to have to retreat as well. Oh, the villagers only retreating that far to start with. Bit of a loss because it does end up with a villager death. So 34 to 34. Pretty even in terms of the pop count at the moment. Eka going to start stables production. This will help him defend the bowman. And once he really thins out the spear count, it'll mean that he'll force Striker to have to pick between longswords and spears. Like, he's getting longswords to defend against the Spara, but the spear's going to be able to actually deal with the Asabara. He's also going to need to get a few slingers, so he's got double range, double barracks already. May want to add a Sacred Grove next. This little guy's just decided he's taking an extended lunch break. Yeah, guys, I'll be out in a minute, eh? I've just got to go to the toilet. So Striker just testing the waters, but does result in 3 of his infantry falling there. I think they were pretty much all spears as well. So our Celt player is going to want to go to age 3 a little bit quicker than our Persia player, I think. I think just in general, the Slinger Civs, you generally want to be the quicker aging up player than the Bowman Civ players. Not necessarily always, may depend on the map and just who's been dealing damage early on. You know, and if anyone's had any holes in their macro. It does happen even at this level, time to time, but usually only because they're taking some really chaotic fights or doing some multi-pronged raiding. So getting the Grove here and the Armory for Striker. Eka. He's added no Armory of his own. Doesn't have access to an early healing unit or early priest unit of any sort either. But obviously he does have that aid tent too, which is going to help top up his units. It's always nice for Persia if you can just sort of sit back or come back to your base and just sit under aid tent for a bit. Just top up all your units' health. Maybe even split units up across a few fairly close storehouses. Just really make sure you can go into your fights with topped up units. Celts, you know, same deal. You've got access to the early druids. So Striker might want to bring these guys back and heal them up. He's actually going to go for double Grove, because it means he doesn't have to expand out on the map and get on top of the berries. He's got hunting dogs. He's already got picker's gloves as well. And I think the herdable gather rate is really... oh, it's only just slower than the berry gather rate. And that will change later on, once you get some of the Celt upgrades. So an engagement going on here. Nearly missed this one. Sorry, guys. It's perfectly timed, hey? High APM commentary. Yeah, so the gather rate from these deer is actually going to be slightly slower than the gather rate from berries, but then once you get to age 4, that does flip. Yeah, 0.88 versus 0.9. So good vision here by Striker. He's making sure he's not going to be raided from anywhere. He's free to go to age 3, as well as just get a couple of upgrades here. Getting ranged armor. He's already got ranged damage. Even though most of his army is actually melee, he's gone ranged damage first, which is a bit interesting. The slingers are pretty shit against everything that's not the bowman. But at the same time, if this means he can have more bowman kills, it may really pay off, because that coupled with the armor upgrade might mean that these longswords are free to just chop through the Persian front line, which they're going to have the advantage to. Neither Spara nor Spears are really kitted to deal with longswords. And Asabara, well, they're going to mostly want to focus the bowmen. So Eka's pushing now. He's actually got a fair bit of a pop lead going into this over Striker. And most of that front line of Strikers has been melted. So the slinger tagging from Striker's going to have to start soon. But, you know, for that many slingers, they can't pick off an Asabara in one volley, which is kind of rough. He's really going to have to try and focus down the bowman and have what little melee he's got left here to focus down that Persian front line. And Eka's really going for it, and this is food-starved Striker, because his main source of food was actually going for the Sacred Grove there and the berries. So I think this was a bit of a mistake for Striker. Really, he probably just needed to get on another source of berries or get on this hunt. Because investing in the double grove probably left him a bit short there. Probably could have gone for the age up a bit quicker. Or just had that 160 pop or close to a bit quicker, because Eka just rolling in there. GG. We're at 2-2 for our series. Great stuff, guys. So, in 2 seconds, a little bit of note taking.